Now, I'm particularly looking forward to the next discussion around belonging. So the B in DEIB, you've both talked about how you recently introduced 4 ERGs, and more to come, a DEIB council, and the Charthop platform as a safe place for employees to talk about their life challenges. Now, why is belonging so important in the workplace? That would be great to understand that for listeners that hear the word belonging but don't necessarily understand what it actually means. And what can those HR leaders listening start doing to promote belonging in the workplace?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I get excited when talking about the word belonging, because it's something new that's coming up in this space. But I think of it as the result of DEI. So diversity is around like having that representation from all communities, equity around fairness and making sure that we're doing the right thing. And then inclusion is just making everyone feel like they have a voice and that they're heard. And I think if you're able to focus on those three things, belonging is a result of that. So the belonging is really that sense of security, support, and actually feeling like you are accepted and included, no matter where you come from. So I think the belonging piece is super, super important to really creating that community and that environment where we want everyone to feel like they can come to work and that they're accepted and that they can excel and that they're supported. I think some things that leaders can actually do is really focus on what is the culture that you're wanting? What is the culture that your people are actually asking for? Because culture is going to look different for every organization. No one's going to have the same culture. So allowing your actual people to help drive what the culture is going to look like. So try to foster that culture and then make sure it's not toxic. So try to put guardrails in place so that way your people aren't feeling like they're being harmed at work. They feel like they have that psychological safety, and they feel like they can come to work and they're actually excited to be here every single day. I think it's also important to really create those safe spaces. Things are going to happen outside of these Zoom rooms, outside of work, right? And it may bleed into our work life. Being able to create those safe spaces internally where your employees feel like they can actually find people that are maybe going through the same things. They can express what they're going through and also educate those around them. So that was something that came out for us was Chart Talk. We were able to create that, and it really helped to drive those safe spaces where employees felt like they were able to express themselves. Even if it was things happening in the world, they felt like at work there were other people going through it with me. And I know that we're here to show up each and every day to do a job, but we're all feeling the same thing. So how do we continuously motivate each other to actually do our work while these things are happening? So I think if leaders can focus there, I think that can be super instrumental as well.
And Emily, anything you'd kind of add as someone that's leading HR and recruitment?
Yes,
at Charthop?
I would say, in addition to the programs that Ivori has built, the sort of routine channels where leaders and managers can reinforce belonging and help people feel belonged, that they belong, is really the one-on-ones, right? So how is a manager remembering to say, how are you, right? So often people forget to just check in with the human being across from them. You don't need to dive right into the items on the agenda. Seeing what's going on with them on a personal level, it goes a long way to remember the big milestones that are going on in someone's life, whether they're getting married or they've moved, keeping track of that as a manager, it goes a long way. Team meetings, what are you doing to just have a little bit of fun with your team? It's not like it needs to take, a ton of time away from what needs to get done from a business perspective. But, some of our teams, they spend the first 5 minutes talking about their favorite foods or what they did over the weekend or something that's a personal goal that they're working on in life. Just to remember the human side. And then at company all hands, Ivori almost every week has a spot where she's either giving an announcement about what's going on. Maybe it's from for example, Suicide Awareness Month. Or if we're doing, she also does these wonderful monthly awareness moments. So for example, hey, did you know when you say you guys, it can make women feel isolated from the conversation. Just something like that. It's quick, but it's a moment to just remind people of how they might help everyone else feel like they belong. And we also do a monthly update in terms of how we're doing as a company in terms of our DEIB from a metric perspective, and any new programs as well. And so just keeping that top of mind for the company as something that is important, that we are investing in, and that there are all these safe spaces, whether it be the ERG or the council or the chart talks, where people can come forward and feel like they can talk and share their feelings.
We're going to dive into the measurement piece in a minute, actually, because that's definitely, I think, an area which people definitely need help with, based on conversations I've had with companies all over the world. But one extra thing, given what you said at the start, right at the start of the conversation, Emily, about, obviously Charthop won an award for, best remote workplace. Many companies now are either mostly remote or at least hybrid. When it comes to inclusion and belonging in particular, are there some things that leaders and managers particularly can be intentional about when they're managing teams that are mostly not in front of them as such, physically, but they're mainly managing people who are remote from them? Is there, are there steps that you've got at Charthop? It may be some of the stuff that you've talked about. You might have some specific examples perhaps around how you make sure that you're really doing that inclusiveness and trying to create that sense of belonging in a remote workplace.
Yeah, I think now that we're all remote, it's just a tad bit easier because everyone's in one place. I think the difficult piece is how do we all connect? When we're in the office, maybe 3 years ago, we were able to bump into someone at the snack station or at the coffee bar, and just have a conversation. You're able to meet people organically at work that maybe you don't work with on an everyday basis. So that piece is a little harder. And I think at Charthop, we've introduced ways to create that connection across the organization through our social captains program, through the ERGs, through the council, and through chart talks, just creating the spaces where folks can get together outside of their normal jobs, outside of connecting with the same people in their same orgs. We're able to meet new people, understand where people are, what their actual roles are, and really create that engagement just across the organization through programs like that. And that's actually helped.
In this series, we will be speaking to a range of senior leaders who are pushing a data-driven and digital HR agenda. Make sure that you subscribe via your podcast app of choice, and also via our YouTube channel for free and regular interviews with the digital HR leaders of the future.